My name is Neha, and I'm your host for today. First and foremost, from the entire team of Q&I, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to everyone joining us today. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome you all. Education Today event in the city of Lucknow. We are thrilled to have such a distinguished group of education leaders, innovators, decision makers gathered here today. As we embark on this exciting journey, let us take a moment to acknowledge the incredible contributions each one of you has made to the field of education. Your dedication, passion, and commitment to nurturing young minds and shaping the future is truly inspiring. Education Today is not just an event. It is a celebration of ideas, collaborations, and innovation. It is a platform where we can exchange insights, share experiences, and explore new horizons in education. Our goal is to create an environment that fosters meaningful discussions and paves the way for transformative changes in the educational landscape. We have a packed agenda featuring engaging panel discussions, interactive sessions, and thought-provoking presentations. We hope these sessions will spark new ideas and inspire you to take new initiatives to greater heights. Before we dive into our first panel discussion, let me introduce our panel discussion topics for today. Our first topic is preparing for 2030 and beyond, how the future of education looks like. And our second topic would be technology in education, shaping the future of learning. Let's begin with our first panel discussion, preparing for 2030 and beyond, how the future of education looks like. This discussion will be moderated by Ms. Shreya Khaitan. She is an alumni of Delhi University and a part of marketing and business team at Q&I Today. Shreya has worked with over 100 schools nationwide, driving impactful growth through various initiatives, projects, and edtech collaborations. Her expertise lies in spearheading growth initiatives, strategic marketing, and business planning at Q&I. We are honored to have an esteemed panel of speakers for this discussion. Ms. Madhulika Agarwal, Head of School, Conscaps Colon School. Welcome, ma'am. Ms. Gunjan Sahani, Principal, SAIT M.R. Jaipuria School, Bansal Campus. Ms. Tulika Anand Charan, AGM, SAIT M.R. Jaipuria School. Ms. Mandavi Tripathi, Principal, Lucknow International Public School. Ms. Mutushi Negi, Principal, Central Academy. Ms. Roli Tripathi, Principal, Amity International School. Dr. Anju Sanyal, Principal, SAIT Anandram Jaipuria. Ms. Farah Kazmi, Principal, Pioneer Montessori School. Shreya, over to you. Mic, please.
Hello. Hello.
Her school is like very far. No, but her school is right next.
So let's begin, shall we? All right. So a very good evening to everyone and welcome to our panel discussion. The topic for today is preparing for 2030 and beyond, how the future of education looks like. My name is Shreya, and I will be your moderator for today. We're honored to have with us a distinguished panel of school principals and educators who will share their insights and experiences on this critical topic. The landscape of education is rapidly evolving, driven by advancements in technology, changes in societal needs, and the ongoing challenges of preparing our students for a future we can only partially predict. Today, we will explore how schools can adapt, what skills and knowledge will be essential, and how can we ensure that education remains relevant and effective. So I'm truly honored to be a part of this panel, and I look forward to hearing you all speak. So before we begin, we only have 35 to 40 minutes for the panel, so we'll try to keep it crisp and short.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. So to begin with, my first question is to Roli ma'am. Let's start with, what critical skills will students need in 2030? And how can our education system adapt to teach them effectively? So over to you, ma'am.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. When we talk of the critical skills required for, let's say, 2030, I would just want to quote somebody. The illiterates of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, relearn, and unlearn. Very simply put, it simply means, I think most important has to be the critical skill of adaptability. You have to be very adaptive, and this is the least we can be teaching our children. It has to be a very good mix of working on the emotional quotient of the children, how to manage the emotions, condition them, and present them. Moving ahead, we all know this is the 21st century. If I can put it a little more candidly, there is an AI invasion all around. Everything is automated. So another most critical skill can be digital literacy. The discrete use and familiarity of the digital tools around, simple abilities of programming, coding, let's say a great use of data analytics can help the children in a big way. Then let's move ahead and think from the point of an educational perspective. What is it that children need to possess to be able to face the challenges, or let's say the fast evolving times of 2030? I'll say critical thinking, problem solving. We, as you said in your introductory address, are in an age shrouded by global challenges, global warming, societal changes. We need mindset shifts. So we need to equip our children to be finding new solutions to the old problems, new way of thinking. I think we have to put them in a very collaborative setting. So collaboration is going to be another very critical skill that needs to be present. When you are collaborating with each other, I think you learn communication. And articulate presentation of your own thoughts has to be there on the chart for any student to be learning. Going ahead, I think we might be AI invaded, we might be living in a highly automated world, but preserving creativity, ingenuity, going ahead with things like innovation should be there at the back of mind of children. And we should be constantly nurturing this creative instinct in our children, wherever and whichever way we can. I also think that character building, long time back, these would not have been skills. But today, I think possessing a character where you have a global perspective, you are globally exposed, and you want to work in harmony is a skill. And lastly, I would say imbibing values and holding on to them is going to be a very important skill in the time to be. There was also a part of the question which meant, are we prepared and what are we supposed to do if we want to inculcate these skills? I think that we are sitting over here deliberating upon the topic. Very rightly points that we are headed in the right direction, but logistically speaking and in other ways, there has to be more infrastructural investment. We need to think of topics and inclusions like scalability. Education needs to be more equitable. We need to think on the lines of an alignment between academia and industry. There's no point in creating more unemployable children for 2030. And I believe Last but not the least, so let's say 2 more points left. First, curriculum. What are we delivering within the 4 walls of the classroom and even beyond has to be there. Gladly, we are all very strong policy framework-wise since the time we have the NEP 2020 amongst us, the NCF, and more is to be served on our plate shortly. It's going to be a gradual change, but steady one. But yeah, so curriculum is to be considered very closely. And now I'll come to lastly a thing, teacher training, the mentoring of the mentors, the empowering of the mentors, the upskilling of the mentors who are going to lead education and create these students for tomorrow. So I think with this, pretty much we are in a safe position just by virtue of our trying and understanding where we are headed. So this was from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. I believe we have a panelist with us. Ma'am, please join us. We understand traffic. All right, now that our panel is full, I feel even more honored and happy. So picking up from your insights, ma'am, I agree. Collaboration, value system, some of the most underrated but very important skills that we really need to focus on. You specifically mentioned that when it comes to curriculum or scaling the kind of framework that we are talking about, and how are we equipping our teachers. So my next question is in that arena, and I want to ask Gunjan ma'am. So ma'am, how will the role of teachers change as we approach 2030, and are our educators prepared for that shift?
Good evening, everyone. Picking the threads from where Roli ma'am was elaborating, what changes probably we need, or what shift we need as far as the teachers are concerned to move forward towards 2030. I think the biggest change that we require is that teachers need not be sages on the stage anymore. They have to be the facilitators of lifelong learning. That's the need of the hour. Because we all know that our children have an information overload at their fingertips. And with that kind of data flooding in from every corner, we need to skill our children, we need to guide them. Probably the teachers need to play that role of mentoring and guiding of how to utilize that information, how to critically analyze, probably assess, and then use it to their advantage. Another shift that I would probably foresee in teachers would be a move towards personalized learning. That will be a great, achievement if we can achieve, or if we can have it, materializing everywhere. No doubt there are efforts being made. And this personalized learning, where I talk about wherein each child's individual growth, individual learning style is being tracked by the mentors and teachers. And they, according to that, they adapt their methodology, their teaching style. That is what we should look forward to. And if we have to make this happen, our teachers are human beings, not robots. So humanly, it is not possible for them to cater to the needs of each individual, present in a class where we have 40 children in a class, and then they're catering to 4 sections. And this is where probably the role of technology comes in very, very handy. And we've got to equip our teachers with these resources, technological resources, which they can use to get personalized data of each and every student, and thereby track their journey and make it more fruitful for them. Also, another shift towards which we are progressing is a shift from content to skills. Rather than only harping on content memorization, we need to focus on fostering skills amongst our children, because as ma'am also said, there is no point having a generation of unemployable children around or adults around. So more customization, more individual growth, more personalized learning, and more of technology-driven things. But when we talk of technology, I think it's also important that we teach our children the ethics of using the technology. Unfortunately, we all are heading schools and we come across instances in our own campuses wherein children fall prey to digital frauds, or probably they are indulging in activities which they should not be. So digital literacy, online privacy, all these things have to be explained to children, and that is where we should be moving forward to in 2030. Yes, another change, if I may foresee, is technology has already invaded everywhere. That cannot be denied. But probably by the time we reach, coming years, what will be required is that teachers need to embrace technology fully. Various tools available around, they have to be incorporated in classroom instructions so that the learner engagement is productive and results are more fruitful, which unfortunately the traditional methods cannot do. So we have to bring about this paradigm shift. And with that, I think we will be able to move towards a better future. And how this is to be done? Simple, one-word answer. We need to equip our teachers, provide them resources, both infrastructurally, technologically. The gap between urban and rural, the divide that exists has to be bridged. Especially in rural areas, teachers do not have the resources, and probably on the other hand, what should be that urban and rural, everywhere, equal resources should be available or similar resources should be available, which is the lacuna as of now. Efforts are being made, and I'm sure if we continuously keep striving, future is going to be bright. Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing that, ma'am. Interesting themes: adaptability, personalization. We were talking about those, and how do we achieve that? And I think the debate no longer is whether on technology will or not enter our life. It's more like to what extent it will enter our lives, and till what extent can we leverage it. You mentioned that we need infrastructural changes, investments. We need to equip our teachers, our current system. So this brings me to my next question to Manvi ma'am. Ma'am, what do you see are some of the biggest challenges in making a shift or making education that is technology-driven, accessible and equitable, especially for our children?
India with one of the largest education system, if I'm not wrong, around 1.5 million schools, around 8.5 million teachers, and then around, if I'm not wrong, in the coming up by 2030, we'll have 1.5 million children going to school even. So this is a big challenge, no doubt. When we talk of accessibility, the one movie that comes to my mind, the latest is Shrikant Bola, if somebody would have watched. That's a big question mark on accessibility only. And yes, of course, because most of the schools now being inclusive schools, it also talks about that. So a child who has great potential needs to challenge the entire system, which in fact was an eye-opener for all of us, that yes, we need to think in that dream too, that are we really accessible? Nelson Mandela long back said that we have all powers within that we can teach, and all resources within that we can teach every child on this planet. It is not that we cannot. We have all the power, we have all the resources. The only thing is that when you talk of accessibility, you need to design a curriculum, and the child is not differentiated on the basis of ability. It is only accessibility, either the accessibility to education, either the accessibility to, the opportunity, or the love, anything. If the child is deprived of that, all of that is a problem. And love in a dimension, I have spoken about the mental health and well-being also of the children, which has to be very strongly taken care by the schools. So I would like to make it clear that when we talk of accessibility, it is about designing a curriculum, not only structuring a whole pedagogical structure, but developing a leadership or a teaching style so as people from variety of backgrounds, variety of, abilities and variety of learning styles can be catered. So that kind of an approach a school needs to develop. Apart from that, when you talk of equity,
as one of the challenges, yes, that's very hard because what I feel is we will have to work really very hard because although government has put it under the sustainable development point number 4, but still there is a long way to go because many students have already been left behind because of this challenge. So as of now, when we look at it, so what I feel is that if I was just, while the time I was coming, I was jotting down the points, whatever came to my mind, and the points were never ending because I started from that, yes, all of you might have quoted because some people I missed, but then from investment to making free education, because the population is about to expand by 2030. So the challenges are automatically the number of children going to school is going to be much more larger. So the scenario is going to change, although technology can be one of the aid to reaching out to people, but then yes, is internet accessibility available in that nook and corner so that we can reach out or connect the unconnected dots? So that's again a challenge. So this agenda, when we talk of equity or when we talk of accessibility, to some extent as schools, it is very difficult for us to comment because whole of it comes from the political parties. Whole of it comes because this is not something that we can easily do it, because unless and until the government thinks about it that way, the investments on infrastructure, the investment on education, the policy, the drafting of policy, and keeping education apart from, the policy makers or the government changes should not affect the realm of education. So the biggest challenge, what I feel is, are the children going to be future ready? There are many jobs which are not going to be there in 2030. Are the schools ready to prepare their children likewise? There is going to be a garbage designer. Are our children ready to be a garbage designer? The moment I say something like this, half of the parents are going to stand on my head. What do you want my child to be, a raddi wala? Do you want him, if I say woodwork and start working on the vocational part of it, so they'll challenge me, आप क्या चाहते हो मेरा बच्चा carpenter बन जाए? क्या उसका scope है? So more than we being here, it is more of the government task. They have to start from the scratch and restructure, bringing NEP into frame, schools changing the scenario, but school to some extent have their own limitations. We need to understand as school leaders, we are limited to those children, and somewhere we fight the mindset and the approach that the parents have in their minds, isn't it? So providing trained teachers is again a challenge. All of us are panelists and all of us are principals. You ask them, how many teachers do you actually get who are teachers by choice? Half of them tell us that, ma'am, we were doing BTech, we were doing MTech, we were preparing for UPSC, now it's time and we have come here. So because we couldn't do anything here, we are here. So there's no passion that calls. That depends solely on the principal, if he or she is able to train and bring them on that platform and to do something like that. So even a trained manpower, the trained, resources, availability of resources is going to be a big challenge that everybody is going to face. Connecting the unconnected is the biggest challenge because there is a whole lot of population which is still not covered into these benefits and even does not know or exposed to that. Then strengthening the early childhood education because many of them still don't work for it. Then providing scholarships, aiding them for free or subsidized education. That is what we need to look, and that is going to be a big challenge if you are wanting to cover up the major chunk of it, and if you are not talking about just core public schools who are like us, okay? There is a whole lot of India that we are looking to, so the perspective is much larger. Hence, I'm not talking about all public schools because people can pay and can send their children. But yes, apart from that, 2030 is going to be a big challenge because of the size of population. And accessibility and equity that you have talked is, of course, then professional development of teachers. We are still facing that, and it is going to exist. Revising the curriculum and building in, because it is always linked to the political agendas and hence it is always very debatable, what I feel is. So every time the government changes, the NCERT book changes. And yes, this time also a new thing is coming up with different ideologies. So who suffers actually? And what we are delivering is core education. So again, this is one of the challenges. We are trying to align ourselves to the NEP and the changing needs, but the possible thing is the examination pattern changing lives-wise? The selections, the CUET examinations, the NEET, they have a different pattern of examination. We think of building core competencies, but again, when the child goes, we talk of strengthening vocational education, but then again, how many are government strengthening on that platform? So all those, by the rise in population, all those are going to be big challenges. If I am vocationally, ma'am said we have to skill our students. I'm ready to skill. Elon Musk long back said, if I will not look at your mark sheets, if you have skill, my company's doors are open for you. But how many of them can reach out Elon Musk, and how many Elon Musks are there in India? Apart from one that I know, Mr. Tata, until he is alive, maybe things are going fine, and if he's not, too sorry to say that, but then what will happen? So people still are looking at those. So these challenges, and I'll just add one more thing, that yes, technological divide is also one thing, because we want children to access internet, but then the balanced use of it, because the more it spreads, I hope it doesn't become a pandemic or a virus that threatens the youth or the generations to come, and we have to be thoughtful of whether to use it or not, or what are the correct measures to use. So this is going to be one, because if you are going to a technology-driven education, that this is going, the wise use of technology is also one of the challenges that we are going to face. Yes, cultural and social attitudes of people are one challenge that might come up with the changing scenario of India and its administrative, policies and, political policies also. Monitoring and evaluation. Yes, that is going to be another big challenge. So on the whole, what I feel is we have enough resources. I don't deny. We have enough resources. We have all, necessary things required to provide access to education for every child on this planet. But what we have to do at this point of time is to commit to enabling it. So we all need to do that, and I think I'll close from here. But yes, we all need to be very thoughtful about it. Thank you.
So, before I go to my next question, I was just wondering, doesn't it make you feel like appreciating educators a little bit more today? I mean, look at the mammoth task ahead of them. I think, yeah, please, a big round of applause for all of you all. While ma'am was talking about the challenges and also providing some solution to some of them, I was just wondering, y'all are stitching the very fabric, the very fiber of nation's growth story. And rightfully, ma'am, you said something very important, that it's not lack of capability, but lack of accessibility that's causing the divide. I mean, we hear of debates about internet being a basic necessity, right? And it's still not present in a lot of areas. And that's the most basic thing we need to first combat technology divide. So the next question that I want to talk about, we've discussed what are some of the important skills that we want our students to have, and what are some of the challenges that we faced. I want to ask Anju ma'am, what are some of the ways that, Anju ma'am, I want to ask you that what are some of the ways we could, or what are some of the important skills specifically that our educators as well as our students need in a technology-driven world, and how do we overcome some of the challenges that we have collectively discussed in this panel today?
Hello, everyone. First of all, today's topic is preparing for 2030 and beyond. And when we say beyond, we are slightly away from the traditional way of the education that we had. Now, when technology, as ma'am asked, that we are in a technology-driven world. So in this education, there are two factors. One is teacher and another is student. When teachers are there in the class, technology has entered. So, but natural, this digital literacy is the main factor, which I feel. It must be there, and proper training must be given. students and teachers, they must be literate enough to adapt, like adaptability, as you said, is very important. Then there are C, C, and P, that is critical thinking, creativity, and the problem solving. And I think the studies in the World Economic Forum, they have also said that in the near future, the world will be requiring only those people who are technologically savvy. That means the person is capable enough and the skill, that is digital skills, are there, has to be there with each and every person, and the demand of these people are high. So the student's point of view should be in such that the education should be given in such a way that they are able to adapt to the classrooms and also able to adapt for the job place. Because after all, after education, this the person is enough for the placements. Like placements are very important for a student, because after all, the final goal of a child is the placements. Next is the problem solving. Problem solving is the key factor, what I feel, of every student in today's world. And these top skills are one of the 10 skills which the World Economic Forum has justified in the discussion. And not only that, in India, the education which we have, it is a competitive, and in collaborating with, like as you said, collaboration, this collaboration is also very important. Communication. Communication with other people, with other fields, with other factors. These are some of the basic things. Now comes the teachers. Specific skills. When technology is there in the class, the teachers must prepare the resource planning, the lesson plans and everything they must be using the different tools that they have in the classroom, and in the tools can be used for framing the lesson plan in such a way so that they can make the classroom environment very interesting for the students. And the students are well enough to adapt all these things, because once they will be literate, but natural, the teachers are also, it will be easier for them to make them understand, both offline, because now is the blending, yeah. So offline, online, you know, every time in the classrooms, everything is happening offline, online. So these two together makes the specific skills of a teacher, like how the teacher is able to adapt and make the children understand interesting in the classrooms.
We definitely need our teachers and our students to be ready for a VUCA world. I mean, COVID showed us that. And
yes, thank you. Because after COVID, what I feel, digital literacy is the first priority. People perish if you are not able to understand the technology, whatever tools and AI, of course. So all these together makes the classroom interesting.
that's right. Absolutely, ma'am, absolutely.
And these are the practical things, what I'm saying, what is happening in all the schools, in the classrooms. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts, ma'am. So I see a theme of skill-based education. I think it's at the center of what we're discussing here, very important, and how personalization plays a crucial role. There's an interesting thing that I recently heard. Someone said that the first trillionaire in this world is going to be someone who's solving for the climate problem, right? And this makes me wonder that, I mean, is our education really equipped? Are we actually imparting skill-based education? Is it truly personalized? So I'm going to dive into this lane a little bit and ask Tulika ma'am, what role will personalized learning play in the future of education, and how can we effectively implement it in our classrooms of today?
Thank you so much. Honestly, the second question, I think almost everybody has answered, the second part of the question. But very interestingly, something picking up from where Manvi ma'am said, every year there's a report which comes out, ASAR report, Pratham takes out ASAR report, right? If you read the ASAR report this year, very, very interestingly, the kind of reach of internet that is there in youth today, you will not believe the percentage. 94% people have internet accessibility in rural India. So we are talking about not the gap anymore. The problem is not the gap anymore. The problem is, and also, very interestingly, now I work with a group where we have schools in the remotest of areas that you can think of. Aspirational India is what we cater to. Smaller places, everybody wants their children to go to, whether they can feed them or not is a different thing, but it is equally important for them to send their children to the right kind of school because they want accessibility to be there, right? So I'll come to personalized learning. Another very interesting, picking up from what Manvi ma'am was saying. I'm sorry, but you just brought in a lot of interesting things. There was a report by WES which came out a couple of months back, where they spoke about what are the kind of jobs which will remain in another 10 years, right, until 2030. Surprisingly, the only jobs which will not be taken over by AI are labor-intensive jobs, carpenters, electricians, very surprisingly, military, a lot of such, wherever it is, hand-related work, which will be required. Most of the work, the white-collar work, which we thrive on, will cease to exist. So what are we preparing our students for? What exactly is it that we are looking forward to? And this matrix is very interesting for each one of us in education field to understand that unless we know what we are catering for, everything else is just hogwash. What you're doing in the school will remain irrelevant unless we are ready to adapt, adjust, accept that this is not what the future will look like. Now coming to the first part, personalized learning space. Yes, for personalized, so we had a very interesting, I've just noted this down because today in the morning we had a sort of a meeting, a brainstorming meeting within our office. And this was the very topic that we were speaking about because as a group, you have to evolve yourself to remain relevant, right? And this was the topic that we were, so some very interesting things, and these are all young guns in their company who came out with it. Firstly, and most importantly, what everybody felt was that, that entire system of one size fits all has to go away, and it has to go away today. It cannot, we have to make tailored curriculum. More importantly, tailored assessments. So differentiated instructions is one part of it, but differentiated assessments is something we need to focus on. So that, I feel, that is where the role of data will play a huge, huge part. I think data analytics will be probably the most important skill that a teacher will have to imbibe in today or tomorrow's world, because unless you can analyze learning spaces of every student, it'll be difficult. Yes, I understand that we are a country of 140 billion people. It is next to impossible to impossible to cater to everyone. But then we need to make a start somewhere. Like what everybody has been talking about, we are equipping, we may be talking about skills, but where are those skills being used? Who is using them? We are still preparing them for IITs and NEET and CAT. Nobody is looking beyond those. We are still not talking, we still have just 3 universities in India which caters to liberal arts. We do not have liberal arts at all. Another very interesting thing which came out in ASAR report this year is that there are more number of students enrolling in humanities than in sciences. Very importantly, so that is again something that for us also as educators, I think it is important to look at data analytics. I'm a huge fan of data. And I think it is important to look at data analytics in our everyday life. So yes, For personalized learning space, it gives you the flexibility. Most importantly, we speak about student agency. Now, student agency as a concept is something which needs to be brought in everybody's language. Student agency simply is how the student wants to learn. And if we cannot use student agency and personalize the learning space, we are losing out a whole generation of students who have accessible use of knowledge all across internet. Now, I have a 14-year-old at home who tells me that the school is irrelevant. That's exactly what he tells me, that I don't think I learn anything new because they're teaching me what is already there in the books. Then how are you challenging? We need to, so I think personalized learning space will all be about challenging the student's mindset. It will be about student agency. It will be about flexibility. For teachers, extremely important to be data-driven, extremely important to personalize their way of teaching. Adapting to AI, let's not fight it, it's here to stay. It's here to stay, let's learn. Let's learn better. Let's learn how to use it for our own advantage. There are a huge number of things, digital aids to be used in the classroom. How are we doing it better? There are plenty of apps which are available, which you can use in classroom every day. You do not require, and we are talking about elite schools. We are talking about schools where accessibility is there. Right now, we are not even getting to the system where where the accessibility will probably be a problem. So maybe that is another debate that for some other day that we'll have to look at. But right now, I think that is what will be extremely important, that we look at flexibility, we look at data-driven work, we look at upskilling ourselves as much as possible. As teachers, teacher education, I think, even as a recruiter, I always say this, I can't find teachers. I have the biggest struggle because there are no skilled teachers. Very rightly put, Manvi ma'am, that we have all fallout of other professions who come to us, and they're not driven enough. So, it's... Yeah. Absolutely. And I think skilling would be important, but right skilling. Right skilling is something we all need to focus on. How do we get there? So just wrapping this up, personalized learning space, again, is something that is the need for the hour, and also in another 10 years, it will be a reality that we have to face, so let's equip ourselves. Let's look at data very, very minutely. Data analytics will play a very important role. Teachers will have to become data savvy. They will have to look at differentiated assessments through data, which will be very, very important. Flexible teaching methodologies, very important. Also, our classrooms will have to be, I think everybody is covered. Our infrastructure development within the system is something which is the need of the hour. Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing those thoughts, ma'am. An extension of this very question is, so we spoke about scalability and we spoke about how AI is here to stay and it is going to enrich our classroom experience. But does AI really enhance personalized learning experience for students? And my question is to Farah ma'am.
A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen sitting here. Since a very long time, we are listening to our lovely educators here. To start with, can we have a round of applause so that we can open our minds, and with refreshing evening, we can proceed. Thank you so much for listening, all our educators. I'll start with the quote of Albert Einstein. He said once, "The measure of intelligence is the ability to change." Now, with this AI tool, what does this AI means? Like, it is just, if we say we have a lot of ingredients, and if we say, AI, please tell us the dishes, what can be made by this? So there are ample of things. Now, today, the world is changing, the children are changing, the parents are changing. So everything in a changing mood. As my all my principals said, very well said. But only thing we have to think, what is this? Are we going to replace the teachers? Are the children going to study through this AI? No. You know, there are born toppers. We have a lot of born toppers which are like toppers. But AI is the education which helps the mediocres and the below mediocres children in a very simple language so that they inculcate the best possible way of their subject. This is what we are talking about. After this, what will happen in 2030 with the students? Abhi, what will happen? The child is in the womb. And Johnny, Johnny, yes, Papa. Eating sugar, no, Papa. The child will born. माँ ये सोचती है जैसे ही पैदा होगा वो ये राइम्स गाने शुरू कर देगा. हर का ये ट्रेंड है. मेरा बच्चा टॉपर, मेरा बच्चा will have 100 and 100. Every school is pushing. Everybody wants, every school need a topper in their this thing so that we as principal can put the result card, the score card in front of the managers and say, wow, this is the topper of my school. This is all we are going on. This is what we are making. Are we making a machine or are we making a student? That's a very big question. At the point of the students, what we are doing to them, are we getting the right education for them so that they can inculcate and become something in their lives so that they can earn the bread and the butter? ये education system हमेशा से था. This was like we all are educated. तब ये AI नहीं था, इतने tools नहीं थे. बहुत ही simple language में हमारे teachers पढ़ाते थे. हमने भी किसी principal, one of my principals right here, sitting here, Archana ma'am, जो CMS की प्रिंसिपल थी, उनको हमने देख के I grow up and I inculcated all these things. बड़ी बड़ी बातें तो ज़रूर होती है छोटे छोटे शहरों में, but the only thing is it the right way? Are we making machines or we are making students? कोई भी प्रिंसिपल क्या बच्चे की उसको नॉलेज नापने के लिए काम कर रही है? क्या उसका माँ बाप उसको कभी समझ रहा है? That's the reason we have so many cases of suicide cases. That the child before he is a fair, you know, उसको एक डर रहता है कहीं ऐसा ना हो मेरा रिजल्ट निकले और मैं कहीं कूद जाऊँ, मेरे माँ बाप मुझे 99% ना लाने दें. तो मैम हम लोग सब एजुकेटर्स हैं एंड दिस AI क्या है? ये एक टूल है. ये टूल क्या है? उन बच्चों के लिए है जो कि बहुत ही सिंपल वे में दे कैन ग्रैब्स द नॉलेज फ्रॉम अपार्ट फ्रॉम द बुक्स. एंड दैट्स वेरी वेल सेड दैट वी हैव टू अपग्रेड द टीचर्स. टीचर्स क्या क्या कर ले भाई सुबह से शाम तक बेचारियाँ, क्या क्या कर ले बेचारी. प्रिंसिपल का प्रेशर झेल ले, घर का एटमॉस्फेयर का प्रेशर झेल ले. यहाँ बैठे बैठे हम लोग भी सुन के बोर हो रहे हैं, यार ये क्या हो रहा है इतनी देर से, सब लोग अपना अपना बता रहे हैं. बट देखिए प्रेशर से काम नहीं होता. इट्स नॉट द कुकर प्रेशर गिविंग द सिटी सू सू सू. But you know, what we have to really work on, we have to really understand what the child wants. What the child wants in his life, जो हमारी एजुकेशन सिस्टम में दिखता ही नहीं है. ना हमारी गवर्नमेंट को दिखता है, ना कहीं दिखता है. जितने भी टॉपर्स होते हैं वो IIT चले जाते हैं, कुछ टाइम के बाद दे लीव देयर कंट्री एंड दे गो अब्रॉड. व्हाट अ बिग पैकेजेस वर्किंग ऑन सो मेनी हाई क्लास सोसाइटीज़. But what will happen to the children who are mediocres and below average? We have to really think for their education, as very well said from one of the colleagues. She said कि उनका क्या होगा? We have gone to the schools and everything. So education system has to be changed. The pilot is the teacher and the co-pilot is the AI system or education, whatever you can change. Nobody can take the place of a teacher, चाहे कितना भी एडवांसमेंट हो जाए. लेकिन ये जो टूल्स हैं ये बच्चों के लिए इसलिए हैं सो दैट द चाइल्ड कैन नर्चर. वो अपनी टीचर से कुछ ज़्यादा पढ़ ले. अब जो टॉपर्स होते हैं वो कई बार ऐसा होता है, आई थिंक एवरीबडी विल एग्री, कि वो गए और टीचर की नॉलेज से ज़्यादा नॉलेज है उनके पास. अक्सर टीचर कहती है मैम वो बहुत डिस्टर्ब करता है, वो पता नहीं कौन कौन से ऊट पटांग क्वेश्चन, ही आस्क ऑल दैट इररिलेवेंट क्वेश्चंस, क्योंकि टीचर ही नॉलेजेबल नहीं है. वेरी वेल सेड बाय माय कोलीग्स के टीचर ही को नहीं पता किसके आगे होगा क्या. जो टॉपर्स हैं दे ऑल गो टू द AI एंड ऑल दीज साइट्स एंड दे हैव लॉट ऑफ एक चीज़ की 1000 डेफिनेशंस एंड दे आर वर्किंग ऑन इट. सो वो टॉपर्स हैं. So here we have to really see what the child wants, what the teacher wants. ऐसा नहीं है कि हर टीचर बेचारी इतनी मेहनत से पढ़ाती है, इतनी मेहनत से पढ़ाती है, बेचारी डांट भी खाती है सुबह शाम प्रिंसिपल से, प्रिंसिपल बेचारी मैनेजर से डांट खाती है कि भाई तुम्हारे नंबर नहीं बढ़ते, इतनी फीस का वो है। तो हम लोग सब प्रेशर कुकर की तरह काम कर रहे हैं। अगर यही हम लोग को छोड़ दिया जाए तो हम लोग सीटियों के साथ साथ इतनी अच्छी डिशेस पकाएं कि हमारे मैनेजर्स खुश हो जाएं, है कि नहीं? तो ये एजुकेशन सिस्टम है। दिस इज व्हाट एजुकेशन इज, फ्रीडम, फ्रीडम टू द प्रिंसिपल, फ्रीडम टू द चाइल्ड, फ्रीडम टू द टीचर। जब एक टीचर आती है, मैम ने कहा कि वो पता नहीं क्यों बन जाती है टीचर, को कहीं नौकरी नहीं मिलती, अब तो बन गई, नाउ शी इज अ टीचर। Believe me, when she is into this scenario, into the school, into everything, she gives her 100%. Very few lot in every school, maybe they can be aside, they think, oh, my management is giving me so little, I just want to work according to that salary what she's getting. But believe me, उनको ये imbibe कराया जाता है through the principals कि no beta, now you are into this profession, now you have to give your best. Now you have to make the coming generation, and every principal, every school is working to get good children, good children, so that they can inculcate and they can get good jobs, at least a job which can support their family, and they can eat bread and butter with respect. This is what education should be. I think in this thing that AI, what is these tools, this is important. I'm not saying that these tools are not important. But जो teacher है, उसको कोई AI नहीं ले सकता, उसको कोई भी नहीं ले सकता. Teacher गुरु है, और गुरु को हमेशा भगवान का रूप दिया गया है, माँ के बाद. एक माँ के बाद अगर कोई है तो वो एक टीचर ही है, चाहे जितने भी टूल्स लाए, ले आइए, बिल्कुल ले आइए. बच्चे पढ़ भी रहे हैं, पढ़ेंगे, बट इन द राइट पॉसिबल वे दे आर गोइंग टू इनकलकेट. और ऐसा नहीं है बच्चे को समझाने की सिर्फ बात है, टीचर को समझाने की बात है. दे आर गिविंग 100% एंड आई एम विद टीचर्स. हर टीचर बहुत अच्छा पढ़ा रही है, हर बच्चा पढ़ रहा है, बस सिर्फ ये कि इच्छा जगाने की बात है. आप एक शमा जला दीजिए, उसकी रोशनी चारों तरफ जाएगी, हर कोने कोने पे जाएगी उसकी रोशनी. बस यही हिंदुस्तान को ज़रूरत है कि वो हर बच्चे को इतना रोशन करे, इतना खुशनुमा बना दे कि वो स्कूल आए रोज़. एक ये भी प्रॉब्लम है कि बच्चे स्कूल से भागते हैं क्योंकि वो कहते हैं हम टूल से पढ़ लेंगे, यहाँ से पढ़ लेंगे, वहाँ से पढ़ लेंगे. लेकिन जो पर्सनल टच एक माँ दे सकती है घर पे, द सेम पर्सनल टच इज बीइंग गिवन बाय द टीचर्स इन द स्कूल विद द प्रिंसिपल एंड एवरीथिंग. तो आई थिंक फ्रीडम इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. दीज टूल्स आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. आई एम नॉट डिनाइंग दिस दैट दीज टूल्स आर नॉट इंपॉर्टेंट. टू वाइंड अप माई स्पीच, बिकॉज आप इतने प्यार से सुन रहे हैं, मेरा दिल चाह रहा है मैं बोलती रहूँ, बिकॉज ठीक है इंग्लिश इज़ अ पार्ट ऑफ इट, बट थोड़ा सा बोरियत हो रही थी कि एवरीबडी विद ह्यूज, आई थिंक सब लिख के आए थे और बड़े बड़े शब्द. सो हम बड़े बड़े शब्द सुनते सुनते थोड़ा पब्लिक बोर हो जाती है, तो हमने कहा थोड़ा लाइट मूड एंड थोड़ा हिंदी बिकॉज वी आर Indians and we believe in Hindi also. So thank you for listening me so patiently. बस एक मिनट आप सबके लिए. जीवन में हर अंधेरे में रोशनी दिखाते हैं आप. जीवन के हर अंधेरे में रोशनी दिखाते हैं आप. बंद हो जाएं जब सब दरवाजे तो नए दरवाजे खोलते हैं आप. सिर्फ किताबों का ज्ञान नहीं देते जीवन में, सिर्फ किताबों का ज्ञान ही नहीं, जीवन जीना सिखाते हैं आप. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर लिसनिंग मी सो पेशेंटली. गॉड ब्लेस यू ऑल.
That was a powerhouse of a speech. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, now I have a question for Mitushi, ma'am. So हमने काफ़ी बात कर ली about skills, personalization, adaptability, classrooms में किस चीज़ की कमी है, teachers में क्या अच्छा है और कैसे improve कर सकते हैं. अगर मैं आपसे, if I have to ask you some very basic on-ground implementation strategies in bridging the gap between traditional educational methods and how do you bring in AI into your classrooms. But मैं on-ground implementation जानना चाहती हूँ, ma'am, because we've discussed ideas, we've discussed insights, but how do we actually, yeah.
we need to have thoughtful integration of both the practices. See, when you talk about traditional teaching and when we talk about modern teaching, we have to have a fine balance, and amalgamation is required. And that is there comes the role of a teacher, a principal, or an education system as a whole. The pedagogy, the curriculum, all work here. See, we cannot deny change is inevitable. We cannot stick to the old always. But definitely, then again, old is gold. So we cannot say that we don't need the traditional things. We do need them, but then integration is required now. And AI is there to stay. So we have to accept AI and we have to move with AI only. See, we don't know what is going to get redundant or what goes, what is not useful or will not stay for longer in the field of education. If I'm not wrong, 2-3 years ago, coding, there was a fad about coding. But now, even the students say, they want something more. Coding or robotics was just a part of it, if I'm not wrong. And my fellow esteemed panelists have thrown lots of light on everything. I think there was not a single topic which was not touched. Then coming back again, when we talk ki kya purane mein, like when we say that traditional education, you said na that lifelong learners banana hai, so what needs to be done? See, traditional education was what? One gloves is used for all the hands. Yeah, what's one size fits all, one glove for all. That is not possible now. Ma'am said, Tulika ma'am, personalized education. That is the need of the hour. Every child is a different flower that needs to bloom. And in coming times, we need to cater individually. Now, I don't say that a teacher has 30 mind to cater 30 individual children. So here the role of AI comes into existence. We need to upgrade ourselves in technology. We need to integrate technology. We need to have fine blend of technology in our day-to-day practices. And as ma'am said, teachers are also human beings. We do understand. But schools need to upgrade themselves. Now, it is done from the part of management, by the government. That is a matter of debate. But then, as teachers, as educators, we need to understand that lifelong learners, if we need to create, we too have to be lifelong learners. We cannot deny the fact that coming generation is running very fast. Even we are that generation which are sandwiched in between. So, we have to cope up with everything. We are not millennials, we are not Gen Z, but we are somewhere who are the bridge between everything, our ancestors and the coming generation and the present generation. So we need to act at the right moment. And this is the right moment. We need to seize this moment. And it is not a matter of one day. Upscaling of education, upscaling of skills required lots of training. So we all need to be ready to be trained. Whether from government, from our side, or whatever avenues are available, whatever resources are available, we need to use it at the right moment. And again, I say, future learner. You said that we need to prepare our children as future learners. Yeah. So future learners means those who will be getting jobs or professions which are far ahead what we can think right now. We don't know what is ahead. I don't know what is ahead 2030. We never knew what was ahead Corona. We never knew that this much of technology will come into existence. 3 years back, we were all like dependent on contemporary teaching only. So down the line, 3 years, we are much equipped. And if we try, and we all are united on this front, so anything and everything is possible. And we as educators, we as leaders need to start the change, and then everything is possible. Thank you so much.
So before I present my last question to Madhulika ma'am, I think all of you all will agree it's very interesting. The new generation that you're trying to build and teach and upskill, it's very different. I mean, right now sitting here, मैं ही सोच रही हूँ काश मेरे time पे ये conversations हो रही होती. So maybe I would have been in a different world. Yes, very smart. Absolutely. Very hands-on. Yeah. Right. So it's, like I said, it's a mammoth task, but I think it's challenging, yet rewarding for each one of you. So, which brings me to my last question. Ma'am, I want to know, we've spoken a lot about technology-driven world and AI penetrating every aspect of our lives. How do we, now that AI is in every form of life, how do we ensure that schools and teachers use the tools correctly, as well as how can students be ethical in their approach to extend that we're not violating uh, right, we're not violating any boundaries and our children are safe in this world.
Right. I think it's very difficult to be the last speaker on the panel. By now, everybody's patience has already given up, you know. And
Yeah.
but I would try and sum up and connect all the unconnected dots that were spoken about, whether it is talking about personalized education or you spoke about how can we ensure safety, right? I think being safe should be a top priority for all educators. And when I talk of safety, digital safety, I would go beyond just digital safety. I think contemporary education preparing children for 2030 will have the socio-emotional learning, student agency and well-being will be top priority. Right? And when we talk of student agency and well-being, I mean emotional safety is as critical as digital safety because one leads to the other. And I think nothing else but mindful conversations on digital citizenship. If you look at the UNESCO MGIP, that is UNESCO Mahatma Gandhi International, Institute for Education for Peace and Sustainability, they have their research reports and that talks of human flourishing. It talks of a whole brain learner-centric approach. It talks of that personalized education is going to be a fundamental right for every child on this planet, leave aside India, right? So safety, so there are organizations like UNESCO MGIP which run free courses on digital citizenship, but how many of us as educators are aware, right? So I think for me, the change begins with us as leaders. We talk of learn, relearn, unlearn. If I were to ask all of us to introspect, what was the last new thing that each one of us learned? I think we will need to really reflect and reflect very hard. And it has to be walk the talk. As leaders, if we are not walking the talk, I think we are not going to be able to instill that willingness or that spark in our teachers or in our students to learn something new. What was the last course that we did willingly, something that we wanted to learn, something that we loved and we learned? And it can be, and again, we talked of skill. It doesn't have to be an educational course. Maybe it's a new recipe that I learned. Or maybe it's a new skill of crochet or knitting that I picked up, which is dying down, right? But then, or I may be a great fan of coffee, and maybe it's a new kind of coffee that I've learned to make. But learning, if we learn how to learn, our children will kind of pick all of it beautifully. But going back and summing up, the question on safety is there are a lot of organizations now, when we talk of AI invading one side, there are a lot of global organizations that are doing a lot of philanthropic work in the space of digital safety. We need to look for those resources, share those resources on common educators platform, and then ensure our children learning it. For example, if I were to give a small example of Kunskapsskolen, at Kunskapsskolen, we do introduce children to the UNESCO MGIP courses. Our children do take up digital citizenship, and I think only digital citizenship courses which come through globally recognized organizations that work in the sphere of child safety will be the way forward. Nothing but ourselves getting into research to be able to give that to the generations we are dealing with. It's a VUCA world after all. There's a new term, there's a Bani world, and we are swinging between the VUCA and the Bani, right? So it's very, very unpredictable, it's very fragile, and it's irritability. There is a lot of irritability. How many of us are patient enough to let the other one finish? How many of us, resilience, coping mechanism, something as simple as active listening, which is going to be a critical skill for 2030. Yeah. So I think it's a lot to share, and we are at that point in time where this generation of educators has a lot of responsibility on the shoulders.
It does, yes.
Yeah. So I think with that, I think those are my 2 bits, being the last speaker on the panel. But going back, collaborate. Let's collaborate. Let's find out new things, how we can support each other in this journey. Thank you.
What to learn. It's now time how to learn.
Why? We need to start with the why.
We do not.
So-
If you allow me, I'd just quote a small anecdote on this. Actually, what we have been doing, I'm just trying to put it through an anecdote. Once I was taking a design thinking workshop, and there were all around 100 teachers, and they spoke. I said, there is one thing that you would like to change about your morning as a teacher. What do you feel, what you miss out on? And you'll not believe 80% of the teachers said that we want to have a cup of coffee in the morning peacefully. Because we have to rush, bus shoot rahi hai, bhagna hai, late lag jayegi, gola lag jayega. Now, there was this workshop, so this story started that there was this new manager, he joined a firm and he came to the firm, and it was his first day. He was being introduced as we are introduced to the schools whenever we joined or change our institutions. तो उनको पूरा स्कूल घुमाया गया, and he was taking round, and he visited everybody, every nook and corner of the school. All of a sudden, he was crossing the garden, and there he saw a bench, and then he saw 2 guards also. He was alarmed, but then he said, okay, it's first day. He went back from his window. He could every day see that there is a bench and there are 2 guards. But busy in the schedule and managing the daily cause, he never bothered. All of a sudden, after a week, he got a requirement that there were 2 manpowers required, and they were wanting support staff. So out of blue, he said, "Ki, Arey, zarurat kya hai? There are 2 people guarding the bench. You pick them up, they do nothing. They are always standing next to the bench." So he was like, "Ki, officer का जो उसका PA, नहीं sir, आप ऐसा नहीं कर सकते. ये स्कूल का नियम है, ये यहाँ जैसा ही होता आया है और आपको ऐसे ही करना पड़ेगा. If you bring in this change, this is going to be like dangerous for you. You might lose your job और हमारे ऊपर भी आफत आ जाएगी. ये सर के instructions है. This is how it has to be." So, but this logical man was surprised, and he said, "Why should I waste my manpower? I need to talk to the previous person who was handling all of it." He called him up, he said, "Sir, how are you?" and this and that. And he said, "Sir, there is a man guarding, and I need manpower." So I'm thinking, यही दोनों काम कर लेंगे. नहीं sir, वो हमारे टाइम में भी ऐसा ही था sir. Please don't try to change it. वो आप करिए, देखिए वो साहब का इंस्ट्रक्शन है. साहब कभी कभी आते हैं, अब उनसे कोई ज़्यादा नहीं पूछता. जो उन्होंने कह दिया वही करिए आप. Okay, fine, भाई ठीक है. This man was no way ready to surrender, so he called up the third and the previous person. When he spoke to him, he said, "What are you saying?" He said, "Sir, 2 people guarding the bench." No, he burst into a laughter. He said, "Are they still standing there?" So he said, "Yes, sir." तो बोले वो तो हमने करीबन 4-5 साल पहले वो पेंटिंग हुआ था ना, तो बेंच उस टाइम सर राउंड पे आए थे पूरा स्कूल विजिट करने, तो वो बेंच भी पेंट हुई थी. तो कोई बैठ गया, पूरा पेंट खराब हो गया, तो सर ने 2 को बुला के वहाँ खड़ा कर दिया कि यहाँ खड़े रहना, देखते रहना. So till then, because nobody could ask a logical question and nobody dared to change, nobody dared to ask, whatever happened was happening till date. So we are beating the bush somehow. We need to take steps. We need to come out, and we need to start experimenting also. So you cannot say that what CBSE, even CBSE is experimenting, let me tell you. it is what पहले CCE आया फिर कुछ और आया फिर कुछ और आया, everything we are changing into, so we should be ready for that. I think we should be ready to experiment, and it is not what to learn, it is how to learn.
Thank you for sharing that story. It was really wonderful. So with this, the panel discussion comes to an end, and I have to say, what a powerhouse of a panel. Congratulations, this was really amazing. So not just the panel, I also want to say what an amazing audience. So please, a huge round of applause for you all as well. Please, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you to our moderator and panelists for such an insightful discussion. Now let's move on to our next panel discussion. Our second panel discussion is on technology in education, shaping the future of learning. This discussion will be moderated again by Ms. Shreya Khaitan and features an outstanding panel experts. Let us welcome Ms. Anjana Pandey, Principal, Mount Litra Z School. Ms. Anjana Pandey. Dr. Sonika Kaushik, Principal, the Cambridge School. May we have you on stage, please? Mr. Sarit Ghosh, Principal, SBM Public School. Dr. Nagesh Vijay, Principal, Jagran Public School. Dr. Jayant Chaudhary, Principal, the Cambrian School. Can we have some energy, please? Mr. S.S. Chandok, Principal and Founder, S.S. Chandok Talk Show. Ms. Pooja Lamba, Principal, Delhi Public School. Mr. Anurag Chandra, Head of Product and Business Development, Q&I. Over to you, Shreya.
Hello. So a warm welcome to the panel. And we're joined by one of my team members, Anurag. Before I start, so I've been told that we have to keep the answers slightly shorter this time. So I'm going to request the panelists to not exceed more than a minute or two. Will that be okay? We can do that, right? Yes. Sounds wonderful. Right, thank you so much. So let's begin with the second panel discussion. And the topic for the second panel discussion is technology in education, shaping the future of learning. I repeat, technology in education, shaping the future of learning. And my first question is, how can we balance the use of technology in education with the need for human interaction and emotional intelligence? I'm going to throw this question to Sonia Kaushik, ma'am.
A very good evening to everyone. As she asked, the technology is helping us to enhance our teaching. That cannot solely be the thing to do.
Yes.
That's not a complete teaching. That's an additional aid. Like we say teaching aids, that's also kind of a teaching aid which can create a little more interest in education. And the balance of it along with the emotions are very important because a lot of information is there on internet. And I think children know how to find it out online better than us. But to implement it and to analyze it and to understand it, we need to sensitize them. Just mere the information is not enough. Sensitization is required and that emotional human touch is must. So they can use that thing, the information, diligently in their regular life.
Thank you. Thank you for answering that, ma'am. Moving moving on to my second question, I want to ask this to Dr. Nagesh. What are some of the potential drawbacks of a heavily technology-driven education system, and how can we elevate them, mitigate them?
Good evening to everyone. Very good question. Of course, the technology has given a lot of advantages and it has proved a big boon for us in every step. And I said in every second, but yet it has got some good challenges. First, let us accept it has made the life sedentary, even for the children and even for us also. Second, let us accept the problem of obesity, Let us accept it in a very broad sense, even for the children as far as us. Next, the lifestyle of the children have changed a lot, in a non-positive way. With the help of, with the domination of the technology, their sleep time has reduced, the quality sleep has come down, and it has got a lot of non-positive effects on their health, both at the physical level as well as at the mental level, a lot of stress-related disorders, the depressions dominating, the non-positive thought processes dominating among the children, they have become a lot of brittle with the minds, something happens, they come down like anything and go into maybe they turn up into ending up their emotions, aims, or even their lives. And the biggest challenge, again, what this technology has given is it has made the students more mark-centric, which is not the actual purpose of the education. And one of our panelists also spoke earlier. It is making good students, developing the seeds of the mankind, humanity, and the life skills, which this technology cannot fulfill it. It can be fulfilled only and only by a teacher, And I feel proud to be a teacher and still proud that born as a teacher and continuing as a teacher, and I feel everybody will agree to this point, because there is no substitute for a teacher taking up in the current scenario nowadays. It is the blackboard, now it is the green board and the white boards. There is no substitute to it. And the last, I will end up, the care part. Again, one of the panelists spoke in the previous session. The care part, the motivation, the driving part cannot be done by the technology. Technology can develop a lot of intelligence, but not the competency to that level, and this part. Thank you.
Yeah, it's sometimes just. So I agree with most of what the panelists have been saying and what Dr. Nagesh also said. But since we come from a technology background, I think we also need to pitch in and talk about some of the challenges that we started with and some of the challenges that we have tried to mitigate. So one of the concerns, obviously, is how the social upbringing and how the children adapt to this technology. They are probably at that age where they need somebody to handle them sensitively. And the teachers play a very, very important part there. So the technology usage is always to reinforce and not to replace. The teachers are always going to be at the core of any solution that comes. So that is one thing that we as a technology company are very sensitive about. The second important aspect is with the advent of AI and generative AI models, which require a lot of data. So the concern of data privacy, data security is also very, very paramount. And again, that is one challenge that we were very sensitive about. And as a company that has been handling sensitive data in the educational space, in the scientific publishing space, so we, for example, have made sure that we are GDPR compliant. So these are, data security is another concern that arises out of the use of technology, and we need to be sensitive about that.
Rightfully, technology is very close to our hearts as an organization. And thank you for sharing your thoughts, Anurag. My next question is a follow-up to what we've been discussing till now. Basically, and we discussed this in the previous panel as well, how can we address the digital divide to ensure that all students have access to the technology-driven education? One of my previous panelist member mentioned that 94% accessibility of internet's available. But are people really making use of it? Do we really have technology-enabled classrooms? And I want to throw this question to Jayant sir. Can I throw this to you?
Good evening, everyone. Actually, I was not in the panelist, and just Komal asked me all of a sudden to sit in the panel, so I just came here. So मैं बैठ गया यहाँ पे. So I might not stick with your this one question, but I will definitely try just to speak on technology, and to make it short within 2 to 3 minutes, as has been asked by our moderator. I would like to say I would really agree with our Madhulika ma'am, because we often speak and talk with each other regarding the technology. See, I would like to request one thing. Technology is a skill, that is an added skill with our profession. That needs to be started with the leaders, like principals, managers, and even the chairman and everything. Because what happens nowadays that कि कोई भी काम हुआ everything, तो बोलते हैं, ask my IT person to come and feed everything. See, most of it happens only this one. कहीं भी affiliation purpose and everything, I'd ask IT person. Any Google form भी बनना तो IT person. Mostly it happens like this. So are we equipped with the skill even to filling the Google form? Why Google form? Are we prepared to give the budget forecasting to the manager before the session starts? Are we equipped with the presentation skills? Are we equipped with Power BI? Are we equipped with immersive learning, that is AI, VR, and metaverse? Do we know metaverse properly? Are we with prompt engineering? Do we know Excel, MS Excel properly? It's a course. If you can do this course, I can assure you, AI Excel, if you do this one, with the presentation and all the data analytics, we can do within 5 to 10 minutes, I'm telling you. So I think these are some of the courses. It has to be done by the leaders also. If we are equipped with all the technologies, we can tell the teachers also to do all these things. The teachers can then, it passes on to the students. So we should be equipped with technology, because technology is a skill. It will be there, and it will not take any jobs. It will enhance our jobs, and it can show you, if we're equipped with all these technologies, our space scale can also, it has been given in the economic times, that 20 to 30% of the hike can be done in the salary if you are equipped with this technology, which I have said earlier, with only MS Excel, the simple AI tool, and ChatGPT. Thank you very much.
So, a short, sweet takeaway is that technology is an enabler, right? Thank you. So, my next question is, I want to talk about how can technology, we very extensively spoke about assessments and monitoring, evaluation, and the key role it plays in our education system. So how can technology enhance the assessment and evaluation process in education?
About this, I'll precise, I like to say that we say that every child is unique. We say none of the 2 fingers are equal. But if there are 35 students in the class, we give them 1 exam only. Are they doing justice with that? No. So technology does this. When the technology is giving assignments to them, they check out the mental level of the children. Which child has which level. Gradually, they grow up the level from the base root and they bring it back to the level which every child is. Every child is unique. Every child is, because parents are coming to us as a principal and saying us, my child is weak in studies. So I do show them mobile and say, are they weak in mobile also and internet? No, वो तो बहुत अच्छा आता है उसको. So that means he or she doesn't has interest in studies. That has to be created. Technology will remain and will improve also. You see, there are a lot of things, examples. Once I went to DU to take a session for the Motilal Nehru College, I went to take session of students. One of the students asked me in the open round, okay, I excelled, topped in my competitive exam. But without technology, my admission was refused abroad. Why? Because I was not having the basic knowledge of AI. Because AI is being taught as computer science in 11th and 12th. So we are children are competing on the international level, not national level. They don't know what is dictionary. They know what is mobile. Everything is, whole world is over here. So we have to grow according to that. We have a lot of discussion on chat GPT also. That is also a very long discussion. We can't go on that. But technology, in fact, is going to help the students. And if technology is given in a parameter under the guidance of elders, like it is given in the school itself, under the guidance of the teachers and all, that can bring about a lot of change with the students. And because teachers, their role will remain always there, they have to be a facilitator, not a teacher now. And these things always will remain as a tool. Nobody can replace us. Us means the teachers. Thank you.
Very well said, sir. My next question is going to be to you, Anurag. I want to understand what are some of the trends and shifts that you see are taking place in the education space in terms of technology, and how do you see advanced technology being a part of this landscape?
So one of the changes that we have seen as we have been into the market interacting with the educators and students alike is that the trend of hybrid mode of learning, where you have some components of learning that is taken care of or enabled by technology, but centered around the physical enablers, which is the teacher. So that is one mode that has been taking shape in a big way now. Earlier there was that restriction or probably that restraint that everybody had, and now everybody is adapting to it. So that is one trend that I've seen. The second is the understanding of the power of data. So assessments becoming adaptive is definitely one way to go about it, but then what is the follow-up to that? Once we make it adaptive, the teachers also need to know their students at a personal level. And that is the insight that the data is giving and that the educators are now opening up to. So technology, again, is trying to come up with not just analytics on your performance, but provide predictive analytics in terms of telling you where you will end up. So that is one of the components that we have also tried to build in our system. So just like we have Google Maps for going from one place to another, we are trying to build a Google Map for learning, where a child comes into the system and we know what is the destination that they are trying to achieve, what is the outcome that they want to get out of that education. And then we are able to predict their journey along the way, so that if any child is falling back at some point in time, then the teachers are able to bring them back to speed. Or if they see that they are not able to cope up with a particular trend, then probably suggest them some alternative way. So these are some of the trends. Data analytics is one, definitely, and hybrid mode of learning, and teachers opening up to the power of data.
I would like to add here something. Good evening, everyone. As teachers, I believe whenever we plan our lesson plans, we always keep one thing in mind, that what will be the learning outcome, right? So as teachers, as Chandok sir just said, that we cannot have a personalized learning plan for every child. Though as teachers, we all know that every child learns differently. There are different kinds of learners. But when we actually incorporate AI into our classrooms, we can have personalized learning plans with personalized learning outcome for each child. So this is the future of the education industry. So I personally feel that we should have AI into our classrooms. Thank you.
Very important points, absolutely. And AI is, like we've been seeing, here to stay. But I think it's a very, very important tool that we must all leverage to not just make learning personalized, but effective, scale it. I think scalability is one thing we keep talking about. I think AI solves that problem beautifully, right? So, and which brings me to my next question to Sarit sir. Sir, I want to know, how can educators stay updated with the latest technological advancements and incorporate them effectively into their teaching methods, in their delivery methods, and in their classrooms?
Good evening, everyone. I'm happy that I'm getting a chance to speak at the last. Most of my friends have spoken everything for me. Thank you, everybody. Ma'am is left. You are all, but you have spoken already a bit. Right. Thank you. On a personalized basis, I would like to say the moderator is from my university, Delhi University, so she has given me an easy question. Right. Ma'am is, oh, so many from Delhi University sitting here. ये तो दिल्ली वालों का है. चलिए. So it's nice to be here. And the question is how, what is the question again, ma'am?
My question.
It's a very easy question, but I forgot. It's so easy.
So my question is, how can educators stay updated with the latest technological advancements
Got
and
it.
incorporate them into their teaching methods?
Ma'am, on a personal scale again, I'm a postgraduate in history and an MPhil in history. So psychology, again, we are same. So technologically, we were not well driven, right? And then came COVID. And COVID came and then we all became tech savvy. Because before that, I had never heard of various things, no? So even I didn't know what's a WhatsApp video call, right? And then all those classes started. So we had to adapt ourselves according to the situation. My history went into the air and I started learning things, no? As my colleagues told that we are leaders as principals, we should be guides, right? And now उसको सीखा ही था कि अब एक नया आ गया AI and Chat GPT. हमने बोला अभी 4-5 साल नौकरी और है और पता नहीं कितने चीज और आ जाएंगे, right? So it's good, as ma'am said, artificial intelligence has the capacity to cater to each child. As somebody said, the technology, एक ही चीज 30-35 बच्चे, ये तो गम है, सच बताएं तो हर क्लास में 45 से 50-55 बच्चे होते हैं. मैनेजमेंट कहते हैं और बच्चे को डाल दो क्लास में, right? Ideal is 35, sir, but most of the schools which have children have 45 children, or even 50 in some classes. So we have to adapt ourselves to the technology, and where there's a will, there's a way. So, and we are proud to be from Delhi. So we, even at that time, in the early 90s, the Delhi University tried to give us the best education. Yes, we knew there was something called internet even then, when other universities were not very well there.
So what do you mean to say, sir? We were illiterate?
No, sir.
Those who were not in Delhi University?
No, sir. No, we
the
were...
question is going somewhere else to the university.
Sir, don't get angry. Kanpur is a very good university, sir. Kanpur. And I have to meet you there day after tomorrow. So...
Please come.
Yeah.
I'll see you. I'll meet you, sir. I'll take my words back.
And the Ganga Bridge, I am told. Delhi University is not good. Anyway, no, coming to, yeah, everybody was so serious, so I thought being a bit funny is not bad. But we have to adapt ourselves according to the technology. And technology is not bad, right? We all have to adapt ourselves. And I'm told that today's meeting is being streamed live.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so many of my friends were telling, हमें नहीं बुलाया, हम बोले देख लो भैया. Yes.
Sir, your time is over, sir. Please hurry up.
Thank you.
Delhi University. Time is over now. Speak about the topic.
अब आप ही बोलिए, sir.
नहीं sir, आप बोलिए.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So, thank you for sharing your thoughts and this fun banter. Anjana ma'am, I believe this is a question that I would like to ask you as well. So, it's a similar question, and I would like to hear your thoughts about how can educators stay updated, and how can we incorporate them effectively into our classrooms?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. I'm really happy to be here, and it's really fun listening to everyone. Of course, university and everything is okay, but the entire aspect is something which is bringing us together at this platform. So, and that is today's discussion on technology. So, it's great. Now, I've been asked by ma'am, Shreya, how we talk about technology. One of the panelists mentioned that we need to be equipped ourselves first, and then we can implement and go ahead. Keeping it very short and crisp, I'm going to just state few points which I have jotted down in what ways some strategies can be maintained by us, learned by us, where we can upgrade ourselves on technology in education. The first thing which I would like to talk about is continuous professional development. I believe we have discussed this, and by our continuously in some learning and relearning or unlearning in this aspect will really help us. Now, here in this aspect, I would like to point out again AI, the quantum computing, which I recently, you know, I'm sorry, one of our technology experts is here, but I started doing it. I am from a humanities background. I initially found it very difficult, but again, slowly and slowly, I'm trying to imbibe into it, and it's giving me an edge, of course, thanks to technology. Then we've got robotics. We are all aware about it. Internet, of course, that's the very basic. Cloud chain and edge computing, and so on. I could remember this only. So then we need to be, as one of our panelists is here, networking with peers and experts. Here, when I was learning, this held my hand, a lot of hand-holding from experts like you people, and they really this gives an edge, where I can do a hand-holding of my teachers and my staff. So these are the strategies we can bring into our education system within ourselves, where we can move ahead with technology. Then the third point, which this is difficult and was difficult, experimenting with new tools. But again, if we start experimenting, we always believed necessity is the mother of invention. So when you experiment, you try to figure out you bring in yourself into a comfort zone. हाँ हमने करना है, we can do it. Then this is again collaboration with IT departments and other things, as I mentioned. Students' feedback and collaboration. When we teach something, again, somebody mentioned a big this discussion was about outcome. Of course, when we collaborate, we learn, we tend to bring in an outcome where strategies again define. The entire, in a nutshell, we can sum up, staying informed through publications and research papers. So this is all I would like to say. Thank you so much. Again, I would like to mention that technologies will not deviate us as humans, but will bring us together at one platform. Thank you so much.
I think we have ended with this program, no? पूजा मैम है, पूजा मैम से पहले ही हम बता दें, बिकॉज पहले जो पैनलिस्ट थे वो वहाँ चले गए, हमको सुना नहीं और हम लोग इतनी देर से सुन रहे थे, तो वो थोड़ा दुख है मेरे को. वहाँ पे सब खाने पीने चले गए, आप आए लेकिन हमारे पास नहीं आया, सुनना नहीं आया, उसीलिए मैं फिर से बोल रहा हूँ. पूनम फोटो लेके फिर आप खाने चले गए,
फोटो खिंचवा रही थी, फोटो
एनी हाउ, थैंक यू पूनम मैम. लेकिन अच्छा वो तो अभी बन रहा है मैम, पहले आप वहाँ पे एनी हाउ इट अ लाइटर मोमेंट, बिकॉज बहुत सीरियस हो गया था. पहला वाला इतना भारी पड़ गया ना मैम. AI करते हुए क्या हुआ, HI एंड दैट इज यू नो आई कैन नहीं, फिर दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी, कानपुर यूनिवर्सिटी, लेकिन इनको ये नहीं भूलना,
एवरीबॉडी वाज स्लीपिंग,
इन लोग को भूलना नहीं चाहिए था चंदोक सर को, और कि वी आर सिटिंग इन लखनऊ यूनिवर्सिटी में पास करो. तो आप प्लीज आप लोग इसमें बात मत करिए. लखनऊ यूनिवर्सिटी हम यस राइट, तो लखनऊ यूनिवर्सिटी इज द बेस्ट यूनिवर्सिटी, और आप लोग को बार बार लखनऊ में ही आना पड़ता है प्रेस. तो यस तो यहाँ पे बट ओवर एंड अबव वी आर इन इंडिया, इंडियन यूनिवर्सिटी. तो AI से पहले आई थिंक द HI इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. What is HI? Human index and the happiness index. Happiness index, because I had been to Bhutan, मैंने देखा and I've been constantly in touch with the Bhutanese educators. I was talking earlier 15 days back. Happiness is most important. ये index में हम लोग काम नहीं कर रहे हैं. इसके ऊपर काम करें तो other things will follow. I think very important. So I think let's work collaboratively on plus HI, human index and happiness index. और उसके बाद finally I'm ending it, AI, that is IA, लखनऊ में, रेडिसन में, आप मुस्कुराइए, लखनऊ में हैं आप, तो पहले मुस्कुराइए, and let's end with this program, पूजा मैम के साथ, thank you very much.
सर, HI, I added HI, human intelligence, why? क्योंकि हम लोगों ने जो हंसा अभी, वो पहले राउंड में नहीं हंसा था हमने. हमने हंसाया आपको. तो दिस इज व्हाट यू हैव टू
मैंने लेकिन 2 मिनट में हंसाया हम लोग ने. मैं थैंक यू. हम लोग हंसते खेलने के लिए आते हैं एक्चुअली मैम. पैनल तो आप लोग के लिए सजाया हुआ, तो वी हैव डिस्कस्ड, बट फाइनली वी विल एंड विद अ गुड नोट. मैम मधुलिका मैम आल्सो सेड कि हाँ, एक चीज़ आई वांटेड टू से, लेट्स वर्क कोलैबोरेटली. देयर आर मेनी थिंग्स विच वी कैन लर्न टेक्नोलॉजी विच इज़ फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट. One of them is IBM. Many of them may not be knowing that IBM is giving free of cost this technology for the students and the teachers as well. तो जैसे मैम ने करा, तो let's come in a common platform and learn this equipments of AI and VI and metaverse. Many things are coming. We are also coming. Thank you, ma'am.
On a lighter note, since we've discussed a plethora of topics, I'm just going to ask you, what are your thoughts? What do you have to share with the panel, ma'am? That's all.
Good evening once again, everyone. I believe all my co-panelists, they have already shared and touched each and every point. I would just like to ask one question from everyone. All those who are not interested and not in favor of AI, I think as leaders, we all are using ChatGPT, right? I personally feel, ma'am has already said that we have to lead by example, and we all try to do that. But yes, how many of us have actually tried to explore other options? There are a lot of other new apps, free of cost, that is actually available on YouTube, on Google. And I have recently attended one session online, and I have learned a lot of new things. So I personally feel the future of education is AI. Because if we have to sustain in education industry, all the upcoming schools will have to incorporate AI into their education pattern. And first and the foremost thing which we have to start is, as leaders, we need to attend and train ourselves, and then we have to actually incorporate these trainings for our teachers, because it's very important for our educators to know that these are the apps which can make their learning, which can make them, it's very easy to prepare PPTs within few seconds. There are a lot of free apps that are available online. And I personally feel, as we all know, that there are different kinds of learners. So chalk and talk method, we still are actually encouraging chalk and talk method into our classrooms, which the new generation is not interested in. They know more than us. So as educators, we need to upgrade ourselves. We need to tell them that if they come up with something new, we should also be aware of the new technology that is available. We should be upgraded, and we need to, encourage them. Yes, I agree with Madhulika ma'am. Emotional and social well-being is missing these days in the young generation, which is something very important. So that is the reason human touch, the presence of teacher will always be there. Nobody can replace a teacher. Unless and until, because if a teacher will not be there, but yes, our teachers need to be equipped with the new technology so that they can actually make learning happen into the classrooms rather than teaching. Because we always encourage teaching. We start with learning, but then gradually teaching starts happening into the classrooms. So as leaders, we need to give them that space, that liberty to experiment, to learn, unlearn, and then relearn. And this is what is education all about. Thank you so much, everyone.
With that, we come to the end of our second panel discussion. Thank you so much, panelists. It was really engaging and fun to be a part of this discussion. But before I wrap up, I have to say that panel 1, panel 2, both were supremely amazing. Thank you for your insights, for sharing your thoughts, and each of the panel brought its own flavor. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you to our moderator and panelist for another engaging session. Now let's take a networking break. This is an excellent opportunity to connect with fellow attendees, share ideas, and build new relationships. We will reconvene in 20 minutes.
that makes this venture stand out from others?
I would like to mention that I have been on multiple online digital learning platforms before, and the fact that this app has adaptive learning and provides questionnaire for students who are lacking in a particular topic is really nice and makes us stand out from other platforms.
Sometimes even other people in their life, like parents or teachers, can't really judge what's best for them unless they have like a physical assessment or a proof which can state that no, that is right for the student and this is the path which you should take. So I think this is a very great initiative indeed, and it's surely going to help a lot of students in future.
This product obviously focuses on what you're actually weak at, like at the precise point. That, I guess, is not done in other online institutes too. That makes this venture stand out from others.
I would like to mention that I have been on multiple online digital learning platforms before, and the fact that this...
Welcome back, everyone. Next, we have a product presentation by the Q&I team. The presentation will be done by Mr. Anurag Chandra, and we will showcase our latest innovations and products that are set to revolutionize education. Mr. Anurag Chandra is Head Product and Business Operations at Q&I Today and is an alumni of IIT Kanpur with around 20 years of experience in education space. He has authored several academic books for JEE and bestseller fiction titled The Ramayana Secret in 2018. He comes with comprehensive experience in several top edtech companies in different roles in content, product, and business. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Anurag Chandra on the stage.
Welcome back, educators. Thanks for having the patience so far. You've been here for almost like 3 hours. We've been running late by 40 minutes, but we'll try to keep it short and culminate so that you are well within time for your other engagements. So while we have discussed a lot about the advent of technology or the usage of technology in the current education system that we have, Q&I, through its own part, is trying to play a very small part to actually engage and make that delivery of education or delivery of learning in a much better fashion for the schools. Just to give a brief history of what Q&I is and how we started back, we basically come from Thomson Digital, which is a part of the India Today umbrella group of companies. So Thomson Digital has been into the space of providing educational and technology solutions to global educational publishers for over 5 decades now. Q&I is our first effort in the Indian education market space, where we have tried to come up with a solution that aligns with the school system of education to deliver the learning outcomes both in terms of competitive success as well as the board success. So Thomson Digital is the parent company, and Q&I is an educational offering that we have come up with. When we came with the idea of Q&I, we also researched on the number of solutions that were already available in the market. So especially in terms of the test prep market segment, there were lots of solutions already there, and we already have that education system running there. But when we were researching, one of the key things that we found out while we were discussing with the educators there is that the school was already providing that bit of education that was focusing on academic success, primarily towards board. It was working towards providing holistic development of the child, providing a safe and secured environment for the children. And as we have discussed in the panel discussions also, all the educators here have aligned themselves to the new age learning patterns and the technologies that have been coming. So school is already doing a lot of that effort. But especially in the competitive market examination segment, we have after school programs running after the school that the students get engaged with. And what do these after school programs focus on? They focus on competition success, not the board success. They focus on standardized assessments. This was also one of the points that was brought out, that we still focus on standardized assessments and not focusing on the individual child needs. They have a mix of star teachers, they have regular teachers, some star teachers that they put up on hoardings, they have some regular teachers who go to the schools, children not getting what they actually look out for, and they have a previous track record to talk about. So they have a legacy of 20 years, 30 years, and they cite that track record to get the students to come for them. Now when this system operates, although both of them have their needs, but they are working in an anti-parallel fashion. So while the school is going in one direction, providing holistic development, focusing on the board, the after-school program focuses on competition success, and they have a completely different way of approach, a totally different approach to learning. All that leads to the students getting disengaged a lot of times, and stats reveal that almost 20% of the students who opt out of regular schooling after 10th are because of these competitive examination preparations, because they get overburdened. So this is a huge number that we have to look at. And because they get into these programs, it leads to an overall lack of personality and social growth. That again was brought out by some of the panelists in the discussion. So these are the two key challenges that come due to the existing or the prevalent education system that we are that we have actually built up so far. So just to address the needs of students who are preparing for these examinations, we have come up with a parallel learning system. So we end up getting what? We get a competing program that is disconnected from the schools. We get a standardized approach to learning, which is one size fits all. Every child has to fit in a particular mold, otherwise they are branded unsuccessful. You have an unregulated learning environment. Most of these after-school programs will have teachers who essentially are not teachers. It was very heartening to see all of you talk about so deeply and connect so deeply with the learning needs of the child, addressing their emotional needs and other things. That can only be taken care of, or somebody who is a teacher can be sensitive about. And we cannot leave out those people, because that is where the children are facing challenges in. A lot of times we say that these examinations are bad. Examinations are not bad. It's the approach that we are taking, or the people who are catering or providing you preparation, they are probably not equipped to handle the other side of your development. And that is where we feel that school has a very important role to play, and it is going to be at the center of any solution that comes in. So we essentially need a complementing solution that works in tandem with the school system to prepare the students both for the board and the competition success, where there is focus on the individual students, and we provide a safe and secured environment that the school does. The child stays there right from nursery up to standard 10th, and then they have to look out for other solutions. We don't want that. We want the students to stay there, understand how they can progress,